Welcome back. So, Soulmates, let's get you back to some headlines just in case you are joining us. We start in Chicago, where fire crews are continuing recovery efforts after a deadly 4-alarm fire broke out in a high-rise apartment on the city's south side. The inferno spread to 6 floors of that building, sending flames shooting out of windows, as you can see here. Fire officials say the fire started on the 15th floor and impacted units all the way up to the 24th floor. One resident was unfortunately found dead. About a half dozen people were injured, including a firefighter. And to Florida now, where 2 men have been sentenced for their role in a federal hate crime. Roy and Robert Lashley were originally charged with assault and battery after an attack in the parking lot of a Family Dollar store. A federal grand jury later added the hate crime charges. Now, according to court records, the victim was walking out of the store when he heard someone yelling racial slurs. Prosecutors say the Lashleys then ran towards him, struck him in the face, knocked him to the ground, then beat him with an axe handle. Both men will spend over 3 years in jail. And voters are putting pressure on Congress to make solution-driven moves when it relates to gun violence across the nation. Last year, President Biden signed what's been called as the most comprehensive gun bill in about 3 decades. The bipartisan legislation boosts funding for mental health resources and aims to prevent dangerous people from getting guns. But many lawmakers say the chances of a divided Congress coming together to push more guns restrictions is slim. And a school cafeteria worker in Louisiana is behind bars after she was caught selling more than lunch to students. Tangipahoa Parish Office's sheriff says 45-year-old Tametrika Cones was arrested after being accused of selling edibles containing marijuana. Someone reported her actions through a tip line. The school parish superintendent said this week that the safety of students is the utmost importance to their school system. The Quarter Live, back to you.
Thank you, Courtney. Now off to Uganda, where China National Offshore Oil Corporation, also known as CNOOC, begins drilling in Ugandan oil fields and aims to start production by 2025. Uganda's Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development spokesman Solomon Munita describes the start of drilling at the Kingfisher oil field in the Kikubi district as a significant stride towards commercial oil production. Construction of the 897-mile East Africa crude oil pipeline planned by Total Energies and CNOOC also set to begin this year, connecting Uganda to the Indian port of Tanga in Tanzania. The pipeline is expected to be completed by 2025. The project faced criticism from environmental groups over concerns of its effects on local communities and the environment.
And Gwen Carr, the mother of Eric Gardner, was recently honored for turning her pain into advocacy as she received the Super Happy Healthy Kids Award. It was given to her for continuing the fight against oppression as a mother whose son was a victim of police brutality. Gardner was killed in Staten Island after being arrested for selling single cigarettes. Since her son's death, Carr has started the Eric Foundation, standing for Eliminating Racism and Inequality Collective, honoring her son's legacy. Upon accepting her award, she stated, quote, "I want to stop the violence, no matter what type of violence it is. It could be police violence, it could be street violence, it could be domestic violence. We have to come together because violence doesn't have a color." That's the end of that quote.
The wait is over. Nicole Hannah-Jones of the New York Times 1619 Project docu-series was released today on Hulu. The journalistic initiative, timed to the 400th anniversary of slavery in America, that has caused the GOP to yell false claims of critical race theory over Black history in schools, will be televised. 1619 is a Lionsgate production in association with One Story Up Productions, Harpo Films, and the New York Times. It is executive produced by Nicole Hannah-Jones. I certainly have been really excited about this, Courtney, really anticipating this. We have talked all week about what's been happening in places like Florida, where we see the resistance to okaying the Florida Education Department of the Florida Department of Education okaying AP Black History. We've seen this issue pop up in South Carolina and too many places across the country. And, folks talk about indoctrination versus education. Well, listen, Nicole Hannah-Jones and the 1619 Project is an incredible education that we all get to partake in on Hulu starting today.
Yeah, absolutely. What perfect timing in the midst of this conversation, in the midst of this debate, disgrace, if some people have viewed it as such as. And let me tell you, I'm just about to subscribe to yet another another streaming service because I have to see this. I've been following this project ever since its release. I'm really big on history and our beginnings here in these United States of America, and there's even more studies that show we were even here before 1619, dating back to maybe the 1500s. So that's very interesting in and of itself. So yeah, here I come Hulu, or I'm about to find somebody's password. And because I think this is yet another must-see, especially with how we are under fire right now and fighting for our history to be recognized. I'm excited about it.
Yeah. And Nicole Hannah-Jones really reminds me of Ida B. Wells, right? She really, comes out of that school of thought in journalism. Remember, Ida B. Wells was documenting lynchings, when a lot of other journalists were not, right? And there were people that had said at the time, that is inappropriate. And so there's so much of the 1619 Project that people have said is inappropriate, or, that's not real history. And we get to be the judge of that when we watch the docuseries on Hulu tonight.
I agree. Moving on here in HBCU news, South Carolina State University President Alexander Conyers asked state legislators to fund a $209 million budget request for the 2023-24 fiscal year, with 5 major capital projects to replace outdated facilities. The South Carolina State President said the university also needs new residence halls in addition to the $10 million in renovations that are scheduled. Conyers said the university does not have the capacity to support both residential and academic projects. Now, in light of underfunding of HBCUs across the country that has been in the headlines lately, Conyers asked legislators to take note of Tennessee's decision to pump $250 million into Tennessee State University to address the discrepancies in funding between that state's public universities.
Prize Picks and Morris Brown College launched a first-of-its-kind esports program. The program includes an esports scholarship fund, which will help pave the way to send candidates through Morris Brown's Global Management and Applied Leadership Bachelor's Degree Program. Love to see that. And the Esports Performance Certificate Program. The two organizations will also launch an internship program for MBC students to apply their classroom skills development directly to Prize Picks esports division. The candidates will gain experience across a variety of concentrations, including esports content development, operations, analytics, and graphic design. This partnership is the latest milestone in Prize Picks' growing esports footprint.
And to Dallas now, where the Black Chamber of Commerce is reimagining the development of a new MLK Community Center. The group has paid off the mortgage on one property and now owns the former headquarters building on Martin Luther King Boulevard, with the power to create a new future for the property instead. The group abandoned the decaying headquarters building at 2838 Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard 7 years ago and temporarily moved the MLK Community Center next door.
This demolition, we're addressing blight on MLK. We believe that demolishing this property is going to improve the safety of this corridor. We're building a chamber for the 22nd century that understands innovation and tech and how that relates to people within our communities that we serve.
And they plan to replace the old building with something to boost the neighborhood and Black businesses in even better ways. So this is good to see. I know people might be sad to see the building go and whatever, emotional attachment they may have to it, or whatever, accomplishments were made, inside of that building as far as gatherings and things of that nature. But change is good. It's inevitable. And if it's going to be one of those kind of smart buildings, if you will, that will benefit the entire community, then let's do it.
And what a great tribute to the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., someone who fought not just for social justice, but for economic justice. And so to see the Dallas Chamber of Commerce, the Dallas Black Chamber of Commerce, rolling up their sleeves, and reimagining this building, and reimagining it with opportunities for increased innovation in the community as a part of it, that's what we love to see, and at a time such as this, where creating safe spaces for Black folks to convene is critically important. And so hat tip to the Dallas Black Chamber of Commerce.
Very much so. And according to that report, it appears as though they'd be going into this next project debt-free, because they did pay off that mortgage, which is very important. I mean, we talk about all the time with money being such a factor and preventing people from moving forward with what they would want to do, or how they would want to, reimagine or steer or direct their organizations. We just talked about, the situation with the HBCU. So congrats to them on that, to have wrapped up that mortgage and to be apparently maybe moving into this new project with no overhead.
That is a big deal.
That is a big deal.
It doesn't happen nearly enough, but we've got a blueprint right now here in Dallas.
Absolutely. Up next, Colin Kaepernick is premiering a new film.
That's right. Plus, Jim Jones seeks to help Harlem. We'll have more entertainment stories when we return. You're watching Fox Soul's Black Report.